Hey everybody, welcome to the channel, True Crime Stories. If you're new to the channel, please hit that like button and subscribe so you can hear more. Thanks for stopping by. Diane Genice Dye has been missing since July 30th, 1979 from San Jose, California. She was 13 years old at the time that she disappeared. Born November 20th, 1965, she was 5'2" and weighed around 110 pounds. She has brown hair and hazel eyes, and she had a 2-inch scar on her chin. She had previously fractured her left forearm. On the day of her disappearance, she was last seen at her home in San Jose on July 30th, 1979. At the time, it was believed that she left on her own because of her distress about her parents' marital problems. For a time, officials believed Diane may be a homicide victim known as Princess Doe. The unidentified female's remains were located in Blairstown, New Jersey in 1982. She was 16 years old, which would have been around the same age as Diane. Comparisons between the unidentified teenager's teeth and Diane's dental records were inconclusive. Years later, Diane was conclusively ruled out as a match for Princess Doe. In 2022, the young woman was identified as 17-year-old Dawn Olenek. A suspect has been charged in her murder. Investigators believe Doug Young, a convicted murderer, may have been responsible for Diane's disappearance. He knew Diane and was seen talking to her shortly before she went missing, but he denies any involvement in her case. Now, on the fandom page, they have her listed as a runaway, and it's possible that she may have ran away 13 years of age. She may have run away just thinking her parents would come looking for her and find her, or she would come home as soon as she calmed down. Diane Dye was a teenage girl who ran away from home in San Jose, California. She is listed as going missing under suspicious circumstances. Despite this, there is a possibility that she was seen at a grocery store in 2016. Her latest age progression is depicted to 46 years of age. She ran away from home in 1979 during a period of time when her parents were divorcing. She was last seen at a shopping mall in December of 1981 by a friend who was reportedly told by Diane that she didn't intend to go home and didn't want anyone to know where she was. But after that encounter, there were sightings of her in the 1980s, but they eventually stopped. So what was she doing 79, 80, 81, 2 years? She would have been around 15 at this time. Why did this friend not go straight to authorities? Who was this young woman with? After the discovery of Princess Doe in 1982, there was renewed interest in Dye's disappearance. Many believed the victim was Diane, including a few members of the police force. But after DNA testing, along with inconsistencies in the dental records, ruled out that Princess Doe was not Diane Dye. Diane's sister reported on the Facebook page for Diane to have seen a woman strongly resembling Diane in June of 2016 at a grocery store. The subject appeared to be impoverished and quickly left the scene after making eye contact with Diane's sister. If this woman ran away at the age of 13, and that was in 1979, and there were still possible sightings of her 30 plus years later, where has she been living all this time? Did she get mixed up with traffickers? Did she go to live with a family friend or a family member who just kept her whereabouts unknown from the family? Has she, apparently she's never, if she is still alive and these sightings were really of her, she's apparently never tried to work or use her social security number or anything like that. So is it possible that these sightings were just people who resembled her? Denise was born November 20th, 1965, and she went missing July 30th, 1979 from San Jose, California. She was 5 feet 2 and 110 pounds, with shoulder-length brown hair and hazel eyes. She was last known to be wearing a blue shirt and light blue corduroy pants. She had a 2-inch scar on her chin. Now, Diane was living with her mother, Patricia, and her brother, Dean, in a house in San Jose, California, just prior to her disappearance. According to her friend who was close to her, she was having issues coping with her parents' recent divorce. And in one article that I read, her mother had gotten a new boyfriend. And I'm sure that this just added to her, distress over her parents being divorcing and then her mom bringing in a new man. And it doesn't really go into a lot of details about whether or not police investigated him or questioned him. Denise was upset because she didn't get to see her dad as often as she would like, and her mom worked long hours. Diane started acting rebellious. According to her friend, she began smoking cigarettes, marijuana, and skipping school. Her friend says that on the day before she disappeared that he was at her house hanging out with her. He says that she was upset that her mother wouldn't let her hang around the people her mother considered to be bad influences on her. She told him that she was going to run away. He says he tried to talk her out of it. At some point she told him to leave her alone, and he did, and that was the last time that he ever saw her. He said that he would also point out that Diane's brother Dean also stated she told him she was going to run away. Now, there's the talk about the possible sightings of her by neighbors and friends who claim that they may have seen her around the neighborhood. One neighbor reported saying that he did see her and that he did state it to police. Apparently this was at a Jack in the Box restaurant not too far from her home. A former classmate stated that he saw her at a mall and that he did speak to her. And she told him that she didn't want to go back home. Now, all of these sightings were reported to the police, but these were all unconfirmed. Now we get into Douglas Arnold Young. Now, I was told by this same friend that Doug Young was a friend of Diane's. And he was one of the people that her mother considered to be a bad influence, and her mother did not want her hanging around him. Apparently he was borderline obsessed and infatuated with her. Now, her brother Dean also says this and says that the mom tried to keep her away from him. Doug Young's parents lived right next door to Diane at the time in question, so Doug was familiar with the neighborhood. He was on probation at the time Diane went missing. He was living in the Morgan Hill area, and at some point around the time that Diane went missing, he committed burglary at a home nearby in Morgan Hill. Now, he committed all these crimes. He was living with his probation officer at the time, and he committed this robbery, and he got out of trouble for that. And just as soon as he got out of trouble for that, he committed another burglary. His probation officer turned him in, and he was arrested. But he was eventually released again, and he committed yet another crime. He, along with another friend, stole a car and went joyriding. He was eventually picked up for that as well. And he was just in and out of trouble. Roughly 4 years after Diane went missing in 1983, he bludgeoned a 74-year-old man to death with a hammer. And he was staying with this man in his home. The man was killed. The reason for the killing was that Hodges wouldn't, this is the man that died, Adrian Hodges, he would not let Young borrow his car. And he became so irate that he beat him to death with a hammer. He is currently serving life without the possibility of parole. And he was questioned about Diane's disappearance. And apparently he gave 2 different stories. In one story he said he picked her and a friend of hers up while they were hitchhiking. He said he dropped them off. And in another version he said he picked her up a few days later after she went missing. And he says that he dropped her off somewhere in California. It's Doug Young. The story about him was, he said that it was said that he had a Satan tattoo on his arm that reads Satan's Day. Someone that the tattoo stood for, the devil's child, and that he was put on this earth to do the devil's work. The police wrote her off as a runaway. They didn't take serious a lot of the people who came forward and said that they claimed to have seen her. The fact that her mother said that she had become rebellious and began skipping school and smoking just led the police to believe more and more that she was just a runaway. This person that wrote this article says the police never really did anything to search for this girl, and now that she's been a missing person for quite a few years and it's a cold case, that they're hoping that maybe someone will, start investigating it a little bit more now. Personally, I believe that this Douglas Arnold Young probably had something to do with her disappearance. I really tried to find more information on him, and I just really couldn't find a lot, which was strange to me because he had committed so many crimes. He'd gone to prison at such a young age that maybe a lot of the crimes that he had committed had happened when he was a juvenile, and maybe there just wasn't a lot of record about him, but he had bludgeoned a man to death and murdered him. He was questioned quite a bit about the disappearance of Denise, and so I just really couldn't find a whole lot about him. If anyone knows anything about Diane's disappearance, please contact the San Jose Police Department at 408-277-4141. Thanks for watching.